Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Mr. Arsenal podcast. Something a bit different. Hopefully, if it takes off, it'll be more of a regular thing on the channel and on the page as you watching us on Facebook. But basically, this is a segment. This will be a segment where we come week to week. We'll come along and basically discuss all the big breaking news within the world of football, non-Arsenal related. Sometimes it might be an Arsenal thing that comes along. We'll discuss that. But yeah, and trust me, this week there's been a lot going on this week.
Yeah, there has been.
From players being arrested and sentenced and then appealing, then one person playing politics at Barcelona. It's all going mental. It's all going off. As we're going to might as well touch on it straight away. I'm going to touch on obviously the biggest story of the week. Well, in a European sense, the biggest story of the week. Lionel Messi in my opinion, playing politics and trying to upset the apple cart and trying to force out the current new owner, well, not new owner, but the current president of Barcelona and the board. Sam, what was your initial thoughts when that all came out? Obviously, earlier in the week that he's putting a transfer request. There's a clause. The initial clause is of over £700 million buyout, and then there's another clause in that clause that basically.
No one can make any sense out of it, can they?
Basically, in a normal situation, you'd have every season in this current contract, he gets to the 10th of June of every year to say if he wants to stay or leave for the following season. Obviously, he's waited till now, so technically that clause is out of date. He's fighting against it, saying, well, technically the season didn't finish until here. But if it's in black and white, he hasn't got a leg to stand on. If it's in black and white, it's 10th of June of every year.
This is it. First of all, it's huge news. It's probably the biggest news in world football, of course, because he's the biggest player, arguably the biggest player in world football, together with Cristiano Ronaldo, maybe a couple of other players. Messi. This is not the first time Messi put feelers out and made it clear that he wasn't happy at Barcelona. It happened a few years ago as well when they were in a mess with it before their last rebuild. And now their rebuild has sort of gone to shit now. You see Barcelona in a state. So now obviously Messi, he wants to win things. He wants to be right at the top echelon of everything. He doesn't want to be a part of all that mess that's going on. And I think there's a lot of mess going on behind the scenes there at Barcelona. They're in the right state for various reasons. And he just doesn't want to be a part of it anymore, I don't think. It's... He's 33 years old. He's pushing on now, isn't he? He's still fit and still, still. I wouldn't say he's at top peak what he was a few years ago, but he can still do a good job in any league for at least a couple of seasons, I reckon. That's how good he is and how good his fitness is and everything. But yeah, you don't really know what to make of it because you read so many different reports about what is this, is that, blah, blah, blah. Today I was reading from quite a reputable source that I normally read these matters about. They're normally quite sensible and go through things quite, in detail and then sort of follow the right, sources and everything. And they're saying in his contract, first of all, when it comes to any contract, they was talking to a contract lawyer as well, a specialist within sports, who actually helps write up these contracts. And he was saying that in any contract, there's always, in most cases, especially when it comes to these clauses, they can be, depending on who's written the contract and what the wording is, they can be open for interpretation. So you've got both parts who can interpret the clauses a bit differently. And that's where you get the disagreements and everything, That's where you start to get into trouble, into deep water. And basically, from what I can understand from the clause everyone's talking about, the get out of jail free clause that he's allowed to do every year. That it's actually apparently as a clause that's put into all the major stars of Barcelona. They're allowed to have it when they go past 30 years old. And they've had a certain amount of years at the club, and if they've got a certain stature at the club, apparently it's like a goodwill type of clause thing they put in their contract. And basically what it is before a set date every year, the way it's supposed to work is the player, if he wants to leave Barcelona, he has to notify the president that he wants to leave. It probably goes through the channels, probably through the manager, whatever, the head coach, whatever. But anyway, the president has to be notified that he wants to leave, and then apparently it's through mutual consent. And what it is, it's a gentleman's agreement that yes, if you do it before the 10th of June, it's a standing gentleman's agreement that they will let you go for free. But apparently, there's so many things there in that clause that's open for interpretation with that gentleman's agreement and everything, and all this backwards and forwards, that you get into the situation where this is actually getting to a situation where it actually wants to do something about it. All of a sudden, then of course the club are saying, or the president's saying, no, listen, sorry, the date's passed first of all. And then he's saying, listen, it's a clause of mutual consent. It's not going to be mutual consent. Brownie, I've been reading all about it today. Listen, there's stuff coming out from actual contract lawyers about his contract, and they're talking about it. His contract, this clause is a mutual consent clause, and basically, the club, they're not mutually giving consent to this. But legally, this is the interesting thing, is legally Messi can still leave and just say, listen, okay, I'm going to leave, and you just have to take me to court. We have to figure out some agreement through court. That is basically the rights he has according to Spanish law, is he can actually just leave if he wants, and the club has to follow up in court for breach of contract and see. And then the problem then is Messi himself becomes liable for compensation to the club, which of course can be a huge amount of money. But that's where he can maybe get an agreement with a club saying, listen, if I leave, can you pay, the whatever, a couple of 100 million or whatever it's going to cost me, basically it's that type of thing. There's that way it can go as well. But at the moment, the club are standing on theirs and they're saying, no, we're not mutually consenting to him leaving. And they have, of course, his standard buyout clause that he's had in his contract for a while, which is 700 million euros. So yeah, it's the amount of money that most football clubs cost. It's a huge figure, and that's basically what the president at the moment is standing on. He's saying, listen, we're not going to let him go for less than that. And yes, it's all politics. It's all backwards and forwards. Messi seems to be the biggest thing at the club. He's bigger than the club itself. Of course he is. And it's just a complete mess. And now the latest info I saw now was the president has offered to go as long as the board can stay on until at least March. But he wants the board to go because he reckons the board is all part of the problem. He wants a complete, clear out. He wants everyone he wants a whole new board, a new president, whole new setup, everything, and just put the focus where it's supposed to be in bringing in the right players and making the football, good again. That's what I think. That's what he wants. But we'll see, because at the same time, I'm thinking, listen, you're 33 years old. You've been at that club since you were a kid. Isn't it now also maybe time to go on and do something else? Because this is one of the criticisms against him as well, when you're comparing him to Ronaldo and all the other greats, is, yes, Messi is an incredible football player, one of the greats, if not the greatest, arguably, but he hasn't done it outside of Spain. He hasn't. Ronaldo's done it in England. He's done it in Italy. He's done it in Spain. All the big trophies, all the big performances. Yeah. Messi's only done it in Spain. He hasn't done it outside of Spain. And there's, can he do it? Can he do it on a wet night wet Wednesday night in Stoke? When it's about 2 or 3 degrees on the temperature gauge. I mean, can he do it then? And of course, I'm probably good. He's that good. But I'm just saying, there will always be that if he doesn't try something outside of Spain. I'm not talking about going on like a golden parachute contract to China or India or something like that, where they'll pay him 10 million quid a week just for the fun of it, just to have him there on some novelty deal or something like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if he leaves now and he goes to a top club, one of the top clubs in the world, and actually tries like in the Premier League or the Serie A. You know, I think that would be good to see if he can actually do it. If he can perform at the same level in a different league, and so it'd be interesting to see. I would think and hope for Messi's sake that he does want to go away from Barcelona and do something else, because look at it, the way they are now, they need a complete new rebuild. I mean, their whole team has to be built again. How many years is that going to take? It's not going to take just 1 year. It's going to take 2 to 3 years at least. And he doesn't have that, does he? He doesn't have the 2 to 3 years.
Well, exactly. And quite a few people in the chat are saying Football Run is saying that the legal case will take 2 years. But also, I think when it comes to Spanish courts, I think a lot of things are going to go against Messi, because not just him and his dad, throughout the last few years, Barcelona and Real Ronaldo as well, tax fraud and all that they've been done on. They're on suspended sentences as it is. So there's a bit of taste there in the Spanish community anyway, in the Spanish courts. So there's no guarantee it would go in his favour anyway if he took this to court.
Well, the thing is, he can then be held responsible. You know, they can get him then to be responsible for the money the club loses. That is what he risks. But then again, he would have to lose the case, which is not, like we're saying, it's not certain. And B, it takes a long time in arbitration, everything to go through it all. And C, you can maybe make an agreement with the club or whatever, you know, saying, okay, if you come here and you know I'm going to go through court and I have to maybe pay money, can you pay it for me? And if a club says okay, you know, that's another way of doing it, isn't it? But he can force himself out legally, according to this lawyer I was reading today. He can legally do that, but it's whether he wants to and drag everything through the mud, because there's going to be so much going through the mud then, you know, and it's going to be such a horrible process to go through.
Time in the chat says message on 1,360k a week.
That's with all his bonuses.
And that's another thing people got to take into consideration as well. Who can actually afford that?
I was thinking,
there's only took a PSG because of
there are only probably about 2 or 3 clubs in the world who would actually want to pay that money. But I was just thinking, imagine I don't think they've got the money for it. They don't have the money for it. But imagine if Juventus got him, and you got Ronaldo and Messi playing in the same team. I mean, imagine that would be so good to watch. Ronaldo and Messi in the same team.
Yeah, unless one of the opposition is like, oh no, not this again.
But Juventus don't have the money for him, of course. But
they might actually win the Champions League then. They might. Being the operative word there. But I think he's just playing politics and he's trying to upset the apple cart and force them.
He controls Barcelona, doesn't he, basically? That's what he's doing. He's controlling it all, isn't he? Yeah.
There's a saying which goes back into Sir Alex Ferguson and his top Man United. No one player is bigger than the club. Well, clearly that's a different matter at Barcelona, because as you've touched on, he wants the whole complete clear out. He's running the club.
Yeah.
He's 33. It's not like he's in the pomp of his or the peak of his powers. He's coming to the end of his career, and also coming to the Premier League as well. I think he's left it 2-3 years too late for me. He's held on to Barcelona.
Even staying at Barcelona, it's like, okay, you want Barcelona to be good again. You want to be part of a Barcelona team that's going to be good again, sure, but it's going to take 2 to 3 years at least, isn't it, to rebuild the team they got now? You would think, even with everything done properly. He's going to be 35, 36. I mean, he's not going to be able to. He's not going to be his best at 36. I mean, come on, it's just not going to happen, is it?
No. For one, to actually agree with, I don't know if you've seen, and some Jordan was on, I think it was at TalkSport earlier, Jim White and Natalie, what's her name, Sawyer, and he was basically saying Messi ain't got left to stand on, and Jim White, and he was saying, who's going to who's going to want to take him on? And Jim White's like, it's Messi. Yeah, and look at the problems that's coming with him. And I think Arsenal podcast related, on the same old Arsenal last night, the judges came on and he's pointed out something very good. He's had everything given to him, so to speak, at Barcelona in the pomp of their time, in the pomp of these years. They've competed and won everything. The second things get a bit shaky and a bit rough, he wants to jump ship and get out. What does that say about the man himself? So, and again, the potentially long term, anyone that would want to bring him in, if they could afford it, you're going to have that then. Or if it'll give us shirt sales and this and add revenue here, there, and everywhere, like get money back in that sense. But if things get shaky, is he going to do the same to us? Or what he's doing to the club that gave him everything?
Well, you can see he's had a. You can see he gets sulky, doesn't he? As soon as things don't work, he gets really sulky, and he doesn't really want to work. And although we've seen that with him several times, when the team's not performing well, he gets all sulky.
Oh yeah, and yeah, I was trying to pronounce, but Najib Najib is saying, I'm a Liverpool fan, but always wanted to see Messi in the Premier League. Like we all have, but again, as I've touched on already a few minutes ago, I think he's left it a few years too late. I think because of how the Premier League is physically demanding in so many aspects and mentally, I think great player he is. I think the fact he hasn't got the pace that he used to as well. He'll have the little moments of brilliance, but on a consistent basis, he won't be the Messi we'll be expecting on a week in, week out. I remember when who was it? When Amadou Falcao was obviously linked with us that summer, went to United, and there's a lot because of how well he done over in La Liga and in France for the last couple of years prior to going to United. There was a lot of expectation on him, and he never sort of coped with injuries, this and the other. He never became that. He's never the same player really because of it as well. And that's a risk and he's going to have to take now. And again, as we touched on, he's an Asian player. He's just turned 33, 34 next year.
Imagine you buy him. Say for example, just for talking's sake, you he really wants to go. Blah blah blah. Whatever. For talking's sake, at the end of the day, you pay 200 million. You pay 200 million to get him out of Barcelona, and you're paying him say $1.5 million a week or whatever like that. That's his wage or something like that, something ridiculous like that, right? He gets injured. He does his ACL in like the first or second game.
Exactly.
You're fucked. You're fucked. You paid 200 million and you paid him 1.5 million a week and he does his ACL. I mean, he's 33 years old. I mean, it's a huge risk to take. Even though it's a novelty value, though, isn't it? That's the thing. For Manchester City, you have money to burn. The PSG has money to burn. For those clubs, it's just novelty, isn't it? Oh, we'll get Messi just because we can say we have him. It's like buying an antique toy, isn't it? It's like we can just say we have it. We've got that brand or that brand. We got this. We got a 1962 Veuve Clicquot. Special champagne. That's basically what it is, isn't it, to them? And of course it'd be. I mean, I'd love to see Messi in the Premier League. Of course I would. I'd love to see him play in the Premier League. Of course, who wouldn't? But I tell you what, I think he would have a harder time of it in the Premier League because the Premier League is faster. It's faster, and also it's more physical. Players are going to be getting into him more and tackling him more. So are his little 33-year-old legs going to handle that?
Exactly. That's why I think, in my belief, he's left it 3-4 years too late to come to the Premier League myself. And just based on that, because like we've mentioned with Pepe, and he's a younger player, and this, that, and the other, and he knows it from the League One. You don't get the time and the space and ball like you do in other leagues. You're in your face. You're getting chopped up in the air, left, right, and centre. It's physical. It's mentally demanding as well. Can he cope with that over the course of the season, as well as try and compete for a Champions League title? And let's be honest. Apart from Liverpool at this moment in time, you can't really see anyone else in England competing for the Champions League title. Man City, all the money they're throwing at it, Messi isn't the final piece. He isn't that missing piece to get him over the line. There's deeper things going on there. So,
well, yeah, the thing with Man City, which they're trying to address as well, is their defense, isn't it? I mean, they've got a good attack, and with Messi, you've got an incredible extra dimension to your attack, don't you? You're going to get goals and assists out of him galore, aren't you? But if you still don't have a decent defense, you're still going to be letting goals in, aren't you? Because Messi's not a defender. So if you don't have a decent defense and you're still leaking goals, Messi's going to get you goals, isn't he? But he's not going to stop you from letting in goals, is he? So you've got to have a team that does things at both ends.
Yeah. I'll keep on saying I don't think looking at it and all the hassles and the calls, I think come the start of the season he'll be in a Barcelona shirt.
Yeah, he's going to stay there.
He's just upset that obviously his best mate's been told what Luis Suarez has been told.
He's too invested in now. He's too invested in the whole Barcelona thing now, isn't he? He's part of the furniture. He's part of the club, and like again, you look at it from the perspective of him leaving. There's just too much involved in it. Too much hassle, legally, all that. The money, the amount of money needed to get him out of the club. To buy him and pay him weekly. And then if he gets injured in his first week of the season, you're fucked. You spend all that money for nothing. So, it's a huge risk to take, isn't it? When he's 33 years old, it'd be different if he was 26, like you said. If he was 26 and saying, "Right, listen, I've had enough. I want to move on." But he's 33. I mean, he might as well just stay there. Be part of the rebuild now. Maybe he can finish his last year, before he retires at 35 or 36 or whatever, when he decides to retire. Maybe they'll be able to win the La Liga again because they've rebuilt a team again within 2-3 years, and they do it again. Maybe it'd be a great way for him to finish his career, there in Barcelona. But to leave there now at 33, I don't see it happening.
Also, my concern is because apparently what tipped him over the edge was that Koeman had a meeting with him and Daisic said things aren't going to be things that are comfortable around it aren't going to be comfortable. Obviously,
that's Koeman.
Koeman's coming to shake things up. He's been honest about it.
Yeah, and also I don't think Messi respects Koeman as a manager.
No,
because I think Messi looks at Koeman and says, "Who are you? Yeah, you played here. You're a decent player. You're a good player here in the 90s. But what have you done as a manager? You're mediocre at Southampton. What have you done for the Netherlands? Okay, decent for the Netherlands. What have you done? You're not a top manager. You're going to come in here and tell me what to do.
But also, saying that could be saying instead of all the other managers since Pep's left. You could say that about every other head coach that's come in since, apart from Luis Enrique.
It's been a load of nobodies, isn't it? Been a load of nobodies.
Yeah, but even Luis Enrique, with all due respect, he had no managerial backing behind him either. It was just based on the fact he used to play for the club. That was it.
Yeah.
So it's basically, again, he's running the club, he's dictating, but then getting someone is good. I think he's brought in Koeman, even though as you said, what have you achieved as a manager? It's someone that will actually push it, will stand up to him for once.
We'll see.
He doesn't want that. He wants his best mate Xavi in the job.
Yeah. What was Brownie on about? Brownie, what the fuck are you on about? You on drugs tonight or something?
No,
I mean, Brownie, Koeman as a manager, he hasn't been a good manager, has he? I'm talking about him as a manager. That's a player at Barcelona. He was very good. Of course he was. Fantastic player at Barcelona. I'm not talking about him as a player. I'm talking about him as a manager. What did he do at Southampton? What's he done as a manager? He's done fuck all. The only nonsense is coming out of your comments, mate. That's the only nonsense coming out of here.
Oh, dear, it's all going off today. No more drama, please.
Jesus Christ, wash your ears out. Wash your ears out, mate. This is what I'm saying. I'm not saying Koeman was a bad player.
Take your Cardiff earplugs out.
Yeah, so we move on to another topic then. So we've got some other stuff to go through, haven't we?
Yeah, I've got to touch on. Obviously, the next big topic is the human walking fridge of Man United's captain being a very naughty boy, having a little scrap in the old Bill.
Well, it looks like he's got the punishment he wanted, doesn't it? It looks like he's been dropped now from the England team.
Well, yeah, there's so much going into this. Basically, what is everyone? Last week he went off. He was on holiday with his friends and his sister or whatever in Greece somewhere. He's claiming that she was drugged, and they tried getting him they got an Uber, told him the situation, get him to hospital. The guy took him to a police station instead, and he decided then to have a scrap with the police officers with his mates and beat the living crap out of them. And then realising he'd fucked up, basically, tried to bribe them. Do you know who I am, apparently? One of the comments he made. I'll pay you big if you let me go now, and this, that, and the other. And it'll come back a bit when he asked, because it's obviously come out publicly. And obviously, he got let off on bail on Saturday, came back to England. The trial was on Tuesday. Didn't come. He and none of the defendants actually went back to the trial. They all came back here to jolly old England and thought they were going to get away with it. The only person representing him was his dad. And initially got found guilty on all 3 counts of what they were charged with, which assaulting a police officer, causing bodily harm, and attempted bribery of a police officer as well. And the attempted bribery alone is like not a normal for us civilians in Greece would be a 3-4 year sentence straight up. So he'd been found guilty of all that. But because of who he is, they all got a 21 months suspended sentence, and with a fine. That fine was going to come their way, but obviously he's told his team to appeal it, and now he's going to drag out for months. I mean, Sam, again, where do you stand on all this?
Well, I think there's a bit. I think there's a bit more involved here than just the cut and dry of him being a naughty boy. I mean. I think there was from what I was reading that there was an element of him, feeling threatened and there wasn't just him lashing out being a complete, aggressive moron. There was from what I could gather, there was at least half a that's a good joke, that one, Tyrone. Tyrone there, that's a good one. Yeah, it's great. Good one doing the rounds, yeah. It wasn't as easy as that. As just the fridge, as we call him, as Maguire just being an aggressive idiot for no reason. There was some reason there, and he did react to something. You're feeling threatened and everything like that. So it wasn't just everything falls on his shoulders. I would say that's a bit unfair, which is the way certainly a lot of rival fans and media, want to portray it. But that being said, he is a professional footballer. Things are expected of you when you're a professional footballer, when you're outside of football as well. As a private person, you're supposed to act in a certain way. You're not supposed to. There's certain things, you're in the public eye. You should know that. Wherever you go in the world, you're still in the public eye and you're representing the club you play for. And, so... it's that typical, it's the typical lads thing again, isn't it? Have a few drinks, you get a bit leery, and then all of a sudden it's easy for things to happen, isn't it? You get involved in things you don't necessarily want to get involved in, and then things escalate, and then you react, and then you react again, and things, they go all pear-shaped, don't they? And that's basically what's happened here. And at the end of the day, he has taken those decisions and made those decisions he's made that at the end of the day are not good decisions, and he has to pay the price for that. And I think it's only right that he does get punished for the things he's done as he's part of it. And I think it's only right that England drops him as well, because that's what apparently I've been reading Southgate's decided to do now, that he's going to be dropped from the England squad. And so I think he's getting the punishment he deserves, and it's probably going to mess him up for a long time now, because all the focus is going to be on this, and it's going to pull his focus away from his football. And it's been terrible really for him since he went to Manchester United. The pressure on him has been so huge with that big money transfer, hasn't it?
Well, exactly. As I said, Yeah, with the Southgate thing, it was literally within an hour of the original sentence being passed out that Southgate apparently held phone call conversations with the rest of the FA and then basically confirmed that, yeah, he has been taken out of the squad. Which, for me, within the situation of what was going on in the first place, he shouldn't have been put in the squad anyway. He should have been left out, and that causes, and whatever happens then, happens. You're then taking, because you're then adding more drama to the situation because you've put him in the squad knowing he hasn't been found guilty or not guilty yet. Whereas you've taken him out and say he weren't found out guilty, but you've took a lot of pressure off the situation. Where Southgate, being Southgate, as we know, as we've discussed before, is clueless and has his favourites, and thought everything was go the way it normally goes. But so we say. Response to this on the screen here: why didn't they get the sister to have a drug test or any evidence of a puncture to the skin? Because obviously this is what Maguire's saying about his sister and all that. We don't know. We've only been told so much.
We don't know all the details. That's the thing. We don't know all the details.
On Saturday when it all came out, that really come out to us over here in the UK. It was his court. There's investigation going on. There's that and the other. Everything we got drips and drabs, and then he's cooperating, and then suddenly he's been charged with X, Y, and Z. So we don't know, whilst in that process of him cooperating with the police and all that there was testing. There might have been checks done, this, that, and the other. We don't know. Only he knows, and obviously the Greek authorities know.
Yeah, that's details that's not going to come out in the open. That's details you just don't get to know. So, all this speculation is also no good. People making up things they're not there to be made. We can't make up things that we don't know. So we should just stick to the facts that we're given.
Also, question here from Donovan, which I'll touch on in a sec. Even though it's obviously he's appealing it, it's been successful in the sense of he's going to go to a higher court now in Greece and things like that over the next few months. What do United do in this situation? Do they do as Donovan says here, remove his captaincy from him, even though they're publicly backing him?
Well, again, I think they're gonna sit down and they're gonna review this and they're gonna talk about it and they're gonna decide how serious it is, and if they decide it's a serious thing, they're gonna remove his captaincy. And for me, I would do it. If I would say, listen, you're misrepresenting the club, you're, even though that there might be sides to this, that everyone doesn't know, it's not maybe entirely his fault, in the starting of it all and everything, but still he's taken part in something he shouldn't have done. He's done things he shouldn't have done, and things have happened, and he's being punished for it. He's been charged, and so listen, he's misrepresenting his club, and that means he shouldn't be captain for me. I wouldn't have him as captain then. But with this thing with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, though, the Manchester United manager, this was the thing over here in Norway. There's a criticism of him over here in Norway when he was managing here. He had a couple of problems with a couple of players at Molde as well, and he was always so nice. He wasn't firm with them. And that's the thing I'm thinking here with him and Maguire now. Is he gonna let him go? Is he gonna show, is he basically just gonna let him go on this and keep the captaincy? That's something I can see him doing, even though he shouldn't.
I mean, Dor on tour here. Oh, by the way, if you haven't already, go and subscribe to his channel. Nottingham Forest fan. Some really good content out there. He's saying Southgate should leave him out, sort of left him out in the first place and get in Lascelles.
Yeah, it's just like what Russ was saying. It's like Russ was saying, made a good point as well. He's saying, how could Southgate have picked him in the first place? Why is he in the squad in the first place? I mean, he hasn't had a very good season. We have loads of English centre halves who have had a good season this last season. Why is it always Maguire? It's like you say, it's because of the favourites. And yes, Maguire was good 2 years ago, and Southgate's like, oh yeah, he was good 2 years ago when he played in, the blah blah blah, the World Cup or whatever. So he gets to get in the squad again, and it's like you say, that's the problem with Southgate, isn't he? He plays his favourites and everything. It's not good, is it?
I mean, Tyman saying Southgate would call up Cody instead of yourself.
There's plenty of players who have been good, isn't there? You know, have been good in the Premier League this season, who have stood out, who maybe should get a chance. You know, definitely.
Reese in the chat from Facebook is saying, "Who would United replace Maguire with as captain? No one deserves to be captain at United." Not even, to be fair, not even he deserves to be captain. He's only captain by default because the actual club captain left halfway through the season. Let's be honest. He went to a better club with a better project in mind.
You know, he gets to be captain now, don't you? Bruno's going to be captain.
Fernandes.
Bruno Fernandes, yeah, he's going to be captain.
Or it switch between Henderson and De Gea.
Yeah, exactly.
Which we'll get onto a bit as well. And lastly, Tyler saying this will affect Maguire's football career.
It will do because
what happens now? Yeah, this is going to drag on the next few months. Found guilty or not, this is going to do him over.
Yeah, it's probably going to have some effect, which isn't good. And but it has an effect on the club as well. Remember, you know, it's going to have effects on everyone at the club. Everyone's going to be thinking about it in the backs of their heads. You know, the whole team. So it's not just going to affect Maguire; it's going to affect the whole team as well. I bet it's all going to. Yeah. It's going to have some effect on them.
Chris Smalling for captain, apparently. Paul Pogba says Russ Morgan.
Yeah, well, Pogba's the big profile, isn't he? But the thing is, he's just got that attitude, hasn't he? He's got such a poor attitude, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and lastly, before we move on quickly, Donovan's asking, does Rob Holding deserve a call-up?
No. I don't think he's done enough. I just don't think he's done enough. I mean, he just hasn't done enough. I mean, he on his day he can be good, but he doesn't do it consistently, and it's also partially not his fault as well because he doesn't get played enough. You know, as soon as he starts looking good, he doesn't get played. So you know, it's not easy for the guy either to get a run of games, but no, definitely not good enough for England at the moment. No, definitely, he's probably maybe one of the players who are going to be sold in the summer by the end of the transfer window, Arsenal, because we've got like 7 or 8 centre backs now with Gabriel coming in. So probably going to have to get rid of 3 or 4 of them, probably. So and Holding will probably be one of them, I would think, because I'm thinking now with Gabriel coming in, the first choices are going to be Gabriel, you've got Pablo Murray, you've got Saliba, you've got Luiz, you've got Mustafi. Probably they're going to be the front runners, and then everyone else is really surplus to requirements. I think don't need the others. So yeah. You still on the phone call? Oh, he's on a phone call. Right, okay. So what's we got in the chat then? De Gea, Henderson. I think we're going to be talking about that in a minute. That's an interesting one. Brownie says it will die down. The effect that Gaza going dentist chair in Hong Kong. Gaza, what a mental case. Oh, Gaza, you kind of miss him. Kind of miss him in all his antics. Hart going to Spurs. Yeah, Hart. He's not the keeper he used to be, is he? I mean, I suppose he's going to be decent backup for Laurie. I just can't see him unless something's happened the last couple of years. I just can't see him taking Laurie's spot at the moment anyway. But it's terrible what happened back at Manchester City when Hart was actually quite good. I mean, yeah, he had a couple of mistakes, but he's still a good goalkeeper. And basically Pep just came and said, "Listen, I don't trust you. I'm bringing in another goalkeeper." I thought that was quite harsh the way he handled it back then. But Hart's not really shown to be great since then, has he? Merson drinking. Yeah, well, back in the day, the players, that was it, wasn't it? They were used to drinking. That's the way they used to do it. And back in the day, they were a lot worse, weren't they? I mean, they were not physically, not as strong and as they can't, you can see that's what all the That's all the the fitness experts and everything say today, all in football. They said, listen, the guys today, they run longer, they run faster, they've got better endurance, and it's because they didn't spend all their time drinking in pubs and eating fish and chips, isn't it? So, there is definitely a correlation there. But yeah, of course, we miss all the old antics of Mercer and Adams and all that. Of course, there was all that fun side of it, of course, wasn't there? Yeah, you back?
Yes. Yeah, sorry about that.
Stockbroker selling your stock.
Yeah, brothers. Yeah, sell.
Yeah, yes, that's correct, everyone. I have signed for Leeds. I decided Bamford was just too good to turn down to play up front with Bamford. So, and Bielsa, just what a sexy man. You can't say no to Bielsa. So yes, everyone, I'm going to Leeds. Sorry about that. Oh, it was at Arsenal now, but I'm going to Leeds. So it is what it is. I'm going to get game time at Leeds. Well, not straight away, but the path to playing first team football is a lot shorter at Leeds than it is at Arsenal. So I'm sorry about that, everyone. I know I'm letting you down, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, because what's the his name now? Natasha was saying everyone come over here and start saying, "Why don't leave us? Don't leave us!" and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit sad as well, but I understand because the guy, the kid, he's a big talent, and he's third or fourth in line now to the first team, and it's not when you're third or fourth in line, you're not really going to do it, are you? I mean, you got to move on to somewhere else where it's a bit. If you're going to be playing regular football, you got to go somewhere else, haven't you? Yeah, Russ is just having a laugh with Russ about that. Yeah. I think he's better than what they got now. Thiago Silva's better than what they got now, definitely. Even as old as he is, he's still quality. Well, not as good as he used to be, but still quality. But he's still better than what they got now. That's for sure. He'll give him one good season out, at least, maybe two.
But I think it's a similar situation to Messi because they're similar ages as well. So pace is not on his side, but again, game management, depending on formation, he'll be okay.
He reads the game. He's a good physical player, isn't he? Yeah.
He brings the experience, which they definitely need. Which again was a massive flaw in Lampard's thinking last year, that he could go have a back line with just Aspilicueta as pretty much the experienced player. Because it proved with Zuma and Christensen and all the others, they weren't good enough. They needed that experience, and Aspilicueta isn't the answer to give them that experience. So again, it could be a masterstroke. It could backfire. We don't. Yeah, as I said, his pace is not on his side, but again, his game plan, his game management, and all that.
But you see, there are some. We've seen
with Mertesacker weren't the fastest of players.
I was going to say that. Yeah. I was going to say that you can see some centre halves, are not fast, but their forte is reading the game and their physical presence, and they're good in the air. They do it in another way, don't they? Like Adams. Adams didn't have speed, but did you ever see Adams look out of place? Never. He never looked out of place, did he? Because he could always read the game.
Yes, he had some speed against Everton back in '98. Just going to say. If you know, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah. But generally, he wasn't fast, was he? So, and the same with Mertesacker. Mertesacker wasn't fast, but he could read the game. He knew where to position himself, and he won the ball, and he was good in the air. And you also need someone who can do the hard work, the tackling and the heading. You got these young fast. Ball-playing defenders now. It's all about playing the ball and being fast and that, but you still got to tackle and head the ball,
Right. Just touching on Chelsea, because I was going to touch on this as well, because obviously it was mentioned off in Daniel's show about Chelsea and how they're the only ones being really aggressive. But the reason they've been aggressive because they've had the funds from last summer carried over to this summer as well, so they can be that aggressive, whereas all the other clubs, as we're seeing, aren't being that aggressive because they are being affected, so to speak, in the COVID situation. But as we're still only a few weeks into the actual window being opened. This window's going to be up until October. So certain clubs are sort of getting players in here and there, but like say for example, Partey, which Test did touch on, there'll be like last minute sort of buys where it looks good, because let's not forget, even in a normal situation when it comes to Arsenal, we had a whole summer of knowing Tierney was over. It was a done deal pretty much. It just took forever to actually get done to the last day.
Yeah.
It's just got, and also it goes to prove when it comes down to them things, how quick they can get them in, do the photo shoot, do the interviews and all that, and get all that out.
Yeah, that's the thing with Chelsea. They get it done, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah, no, but and that's the thing when it comes to Arsenal, unless it's literally a last day signing, they get them in, do all the stuff, and get it out then. When there's that gap, they drag it out. And people have said on Twitter, it's taken out the excitement's dying of the Gabriel signing and then Aubameyang, because we know it's done. And the fact that the Arsenal are teasing us with Gabriel in a situation of, welcome Gabriel Martinelli has joined Twitter. Aubameyang standing next to fucking Mark. Herbert Chapman, Mark bust. And just like they know what they're doing.
Yeah,
and it's getting to the point where I don't know if you've seen, but people are putting tweets out where they're screen recording on their phone, going onto Twitter, onto Arsenal's Twitter page, getting up the options and going block, and then coming back and then that's walking away because they're actually sick. Because people were like, every notification comes, is it? Oh, for fuck's sake! And it's just like seriously, especially the ones when they cock tease, so to speak, and it's like, as I said, welcome Gabriel Martinelli to Twitter. Like,
it's terrible. All those ones with the eyeballs and the signing symbol, and it's just bollocks. It really is bollocks.
And even Aubameyang with the hourglass, so he put a tweet out, which Arsenal then retweeted, by the way, straight up with half an hour of it going up.
Yeah,
and that was like over a week ago. That hourglass must be going forever.
No, I don't get what the team is doing. That that whole system of how Arsenal process a transfer. I just don't get it. I really don't. I mean, how it takes that long, why it's that cumbersome. Really, I just don't get it.
When it's Aubameyang and Tierney lastday.com or David Luiz, they're in. They have the photo shoots, they have the interviews, they have all the stuff they normally have to do and all that malarkey. And it's all put out there in hours. Yet, when it's not on the last day, as you touched on it, they drag it out. It just gets fucking boring.
Yeah.
I mean, there's... Time saying Gabriel will wear #number 6 next season. Again, with the number 6 at Arsenal, there's a lot of pressure as well. That comes with a lot of pressure, a lot of responsibility.
A lot of pressure.
Certain namesakes of the reason, the name of this channel, Mr. Arsenal himself, and things like that. That responsibility comes with it. But I think under Arteta again, it'll be fine. Just because Arteta will keep him level-headed, and he won't. Because also you've got to remember as well, all transfers have been told they've got a quarantine, whereas Liverpool can come and go as they please apparently. But transfer-wise,
they don't have to quarantine. That's bollocks as well. Because what they do is they come and they take a test, and that test say it's negative or positive. That's what it is. They don't have to quarantine. That's just bollocks.
A couple of weeks ago, my brother had a throat infection. No, and the idea got to a point where the paramedics had to come out. They said you quashed it. It was tonsillitis, nothing else. They then took him into hospital, and the first thing the hospital do, put him into a COVID ward and test him for COVID. And then he's got to wait there for 2 hours after he's had the test in a COVID ward, surrounded by patients with COVID, waiting to hear back if he's got COVID or not. And in the meantime, that's obviously the test came back negative, obviously because it's pointless. But they've done what they had to do. But in that time, he's still surrounded by people with COVID, and I was just like, where's the common sense in that as well?
Well, they got their ways of doing things, and they don't always make sense all the time, do they?
all this bollocks about test take 40 up to 24, 48 hours is rubbish. Literally 48 hours, not 48, 2 hours after he took the test, they knew had their answers. So they could then move him on. But yeah, so as you said, yeah, as long as he comes back all clear, they can do what they want basically. All parties involved come and go and say please. But it's just the way they do it. Like Liverpool, because they'll play this weekend. Of course, they can come through, no problem. And then you've got obviously Thiago Silva and being told, no, you've got to do 14-day quarantine. Like, fuck off. Yeah, lots of Pogba.
There's no quarantine if you can get a test.
No, lots of Pogba, Mount, Abraham, and I think the youngster for Chelsea, the centre back, clearly aren't abiding by what they've been doing during lockdown. They've all got fucking COVID. Usain Bolt's got COVID.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. COVID and chlamydia, I reckon. They got fucking. They got everything, a whole mixture of it. Yeah, Jesus Christ. Oh, here we go. It's Brownie. Yeah. I'm not gonna say anything out loud about any of that, but no, definitely not Brownie. They got deleted, my friend. They got deleted. Jesus Christ.
I don't even want to know.
Go to Marbella, people. You want to get screwed up, folks? Go to Marbella.
I think the last topic now.
Yeah, is there any more topics?
I'm trying to think now. Big news-wise, we've touched on obviously the fridge, Messi, Chelsea. We've touched on a bit there.
Yeah, I mean I feel sorry for Lampard now next season, to be honest, because if he doesn't win a trophy next season,
well, that's the thing we can actually round up on. Does these signings add on the pressure?
Yes, it does because now when you've got some of the best players in Europe or up and coming players in Europe in your team, you know, you got to perform. You know, you got to win something. I mean, okay, he's probably not going to win the Premier League, but you got to win a cup, a League Cup or an FA Cup. Maybe, you know, maybe you get far get a far good distance to maybe a semi-final or something in the Champions League. I mean, you got to show something with those players, even though realistically they're going to take some time to bed in and everything and get used to the Premier League. But listen, you got Timo Werner, you got Kai Havertz. Kai Havertz is probably the most exciting player now, up and coming behind De Bruyne. You know, he's another type of De Bruyne type player coming in. You know, you got Ziyech, who looks great. Pulisic is another. Pulisic, they've already got Pulisic, and he's amazing. I mean, for me, he's looking like a prime Eden Hazard already. You know, you got all these tools. You got all these tools in attack, and now they've just got that midfielder as well. They've loaned him back to the club. They've got that Sarr now as well. I can't remember his whole name, but that youngster, that good midfielder, he's a talented defensive midfielder. They just signed him as well and loaned him back. So he's going to come next season.
Oh, what's his name?
Sarr, something like that, yeah, something Sarr. And you know, they're looking solid. They're looking really solid. So, you know, with that comes expectations. You know, Lampard's got to get that team to perform. You know, and I'm saying if they don't challenge this year, if they don't, I mean, I'm saying they're going to be close to winning close to winning the Premier League this year. But if they're not, I mean, they shouldn't be far off. If they're not within 10 points or something of the Premier League, and if they're not getting to the semi-final of the Champions League, if they're not winning one of the cups, the League Cup or the FA Cup, then their season is not good enough for me. You got that team. You got to do something.
Well, definitely, this is what I've been saying. I think Mourinho, take Mourinho out of the equation for a second. Out of all the managers in the top echelons of the league, at the top clubs, I'd say Lampard could be Lampard, then Oli, but Lampard being the top one to be gone by before Christmas if it doesn't get a good start. Because again, I've touched on this. That's what I'm here, but I did it on Daniel's channel earlier. That he's had this really third season as a manager. First season at Derby, all due respect, mediocrity level player compared to what he's got now. And last season, well, it could be youngsters and a few sprinkles of experience here and there.
Yeah.
But mainly, he had to use his youngsters to dip into the youth squad, which, by the way, is now going out the window, as you can see, which proves my point.
Yeah, there's no point in
this
having them anymore.
Exactly. And now he's in the third season where he's actually going to be managing for the first time ever. There's a difference between playing with them and managing them.
There's big egos. You've got big egos. Big
egos, yeah. And there's talk as well of Thiago Silva being given the armband straight away and taking it off of Cesar Azpilicueta, which again that could cause problems as well. And if you, as we've seen throughout the years of Chelsea, if one person gets upset, the old guard sort of team up and they get you out ASAP basically.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That's the thing. You got egos now. You got a dressing room. You got to control a dressing room. You got to get respect there. You got to motivate them, and then you got to get the team to gel together. You got to find out how these players are going to play together, because basically now it seems to me that Abramovich has basically just said, okay, listen, we're going to buy in all these top players because we want Chelsea to perform again. So, he's gone out and bought, the top players. Indeed. And now it's just basically just like, okay, here they are. You got them now. So now you got to make these guys perform. So, of course it's for an up and coming manager like Lampard, he's probably looking at the job thinking, yeah, this will be, he's probably looking at it as a good challenge. But at the same time, he's got to be feeling the pressure. He's got to have a hell of a lot of pressure on him. And like you say, if Chelsea are not performing, if they're well behind and not looking good by Christmas, he might be one of the first managers out. He might be one of the first managers to go.
Yeah, and that's an added pressure which again he hasn't had to deal with. And if he doesn't come through it, as you said, by Christmas, Boxing Day, when we play him at the Emirates, that could be the final nail in the coffin. If they're not in the top four, itself, challenging it. And mounting a challenge, as you said, for the title, the sort of players they're bringing in now, that could be the nail in the coffin.
Well, potentially. I mean, I wowould say it'd be too soon for them to come together and put a title challenge now. That would be too soon.
That's already there, then, because you've got the media, you've got the pundits all saying.
For me, they've got to be better than last season. So they've got to be closer. They've got to be closer to the title this coming season than last season, because now they've got a much better team. Yeah. So they've got to be close to challenging.
Yeah.
They've got to push maybe up to second. Maybe second. They've got to look at the second. They've got to beat either Liverpool or Chelsea to that second spot.
City.
Sorry, that's what. City, either City or Liverpool, because it's going to be between City and Liverpool, don't we? That's what we think. It's going to be between them two to win it. So, but can Chelsea get close enough to push one of them from second?
Yeah, and that's another pressure he's got to deal with, and hopefully he doesn't, because obviously I'm an Arsenal fan. But it'll be whatever happens.
It's a big ask, and it's a big ask, and he hasn't got the experience, has he? And this is the thing, and this is the thing now with Arteta. Okay, Arteta doesn't have the experience either, but he's already shown a huge amount of ability with what he's actually done performance-wise, and actually won a trophy, the FA Cup. And two, he hasn't got the same squad. Arteta hasn't got that squad. If we had a transfer window where we were bringing in those players, I think Arteta would have a better chance of making that work.
Oh, of course. And how he's behaved, in the sense of how he's demanding the absolute every blood, sweat, and tears out of everyone. He ain't taking any bullshit. Whereas you can tell there's, and also out of all the top 10 clubs, Chelsea conceded the most at the top 10 clubs, 53 goals or something like that.
Yeah, they had a bad defence. That was a problem. Yeah.
And they've got you can buy all the attacking. That's what we've seen throughout the years. We can buy all the best attackers in the world. If we're not sorting out the defence, and a part of that is the goalkeeping situation, you're going to still leak goals. And that's the thing.
Exactly. So they've got. So who they bought in defence? They've got Silva. Who they getting? They got another one.
Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell, and that Saar, but they're loaning back out. They're looking to loan him back out. But
Didn't they buy someone else?
Thiago
No,
Silva.
maybe it's just me. Because I know those rumours, but yeah, no, they didn't. No, I think that's it. Yeah, it's only them, isn't it? Like you're saying, in defence.
Yeah. Also,
I'm actually surprised they.
They're looking for a goalkeeper.
Yeah, there's rumours of them going in for Oblak, 100 million for Oblak. That's died down. But I'm actually surprised, considering the season Aki had at Bournemouth, that they didn't, because he was a Chelsea player. That they didn't recall him and use him, because he's good enough for him, isn't he?
They had the option.
You would think.
Yeah, and they had the first refusal thing that we had for Fabregas in that sense. They had a few X amount of time frame between Man City's bid and all that. And then it's just bizarre. They never activated it. Because again, I think he would have improved them massively as well. Because they're better than what they've got. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know we've got to go soon, so we'll wrap things up now. So Sam, where can people find you?
What'd you say?
So where can people find you on your channel and all that?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Yes, sure, yeah. I've got my own little channel. Not much going on there at the moment, but there will be more stuff coming as the season comes. I'll be doing some late evening chats about Arsenal and that. You can see them on Sam Greenwood TV here on YouTube. Appreciate if you go and have a look and subscribe. It'd be great. And probably be getting Ryan on there and a few of the other guys on there involved as well, with season coming. And apart from that, I'm taking part in these other guys' podcasts. We've got watch-alongs coming and other stuff coming as well. So, yeah, so mainly with this group of guys doing stuff. It's good fun. And thanks for having me on again tonight. It's been a good old chat about everything going on. And I hope we get to see a good result on Saturday.
Yeah, and just before we wrap things up, touching on Saturday, I will be doing a watch along. Are you around that's 4:30 p.m. UK time, kickoff wise?
Yeah.
Are you around for that?
I've got to check. I've got to double check. I might be. I'll check on that.
Yeah. Also, I've got other guests lined up. All will be confirmed Saturday morning for that watch along on my Twitter. So literally go over on Twitter and follow me on Twitter at Mr. Arsenal89.
Yeah.
And that'll be streamed on here on my Facebook pages. And yeah, you can also find me on the Mr. Arsenal podcast Facebook page, which is obviously linked to this. And if you haven't already, you're new here and you've liked what you've seen tonight, and you think you would like to see this be a more regular weekly thing, subscribe, smash the like button, and share it about, and help the channel grow at even faster pace than what it has been so far. Going back into the chat quickly. Move there. And yeah, until next time, I won't be doing the show tomorrow. I'm just going to talk to Door on Tour and see if we can sort something out for tomorrow. Look out for that. Again, I'll announce that on Twitter once it's all finalised. And then, yeah, see you tomorrow or Saturday. And then Sunday, the quiz is back, the 9th instalment of the Who Am I quiz, backed by popular demand in our little group chat we've got going. League judges won't be able to make. Yeah, league judges won't be able to make it because it's his birthday this week and he's away. So happy birthday for tomorrow. And yeah, but yeah, again, the guests will be confirmed for that during Saturday's watch on all that on Saturday. Back in it, Doctor 2 comments in the chat, bloody hell. This one's better. Shout out to Russ Morgan and Brownie, something for you.
No, don't bother with Steve Brownie. We'll just do the one-on-one with you because it'll be. I'm going to do an interview with Brownie as well on his long career in football and his exploits in football with doing the not so nice things in football. But he's got a lot of interesting stories, a lot of interesting insight. Part of it is actually he was involved with the agent for Aaron Ramsey, one of the agents for Aaron Ramsey, and when he went to Arsenal, and so he's got a lot of good stories about what went on behind the scenes there when Ramsey chose Arsenal, ahead of Man United and things like that. So a lot of interesting stuff there, together with other things. He's a Cardiff City fan, a bit of another funny guy, and he's got some very interesting stories about the 80s and 90s with Cardiff City, being a supporter there. So some good stuff, some good stories. Together with the transfer stuff, like Ramsey and a couple of other things that have gone on as well. So it's be a good watch when I do that with him. And so of course that's gonna be planned, and that'll be out in good time on Twitter and stuff, so people can know about it and give it a watch. That'd be good.
So give Sam a subscribe to his channel. And as I've just touched on, a lot of content coming in the next few days. So enjoy the rest of your evening, guys. And until next time, as always, up the Arsenal.
Up the Arsenal.